On today's episode, we're answering the question, no, we're not, because I'm on the wrong damn
Yeah,
outline.
I mean, the first mistake, the first most common mistake is going and having a look at what the competition are charging. And that in itself is not, it's not the actual mistake. The mistake is the assumption that your competition actually know what they're doing. So if you had a group of, I don't know, web designers or coaches in your local area or other freelancers, and, you know, Steve's looking at Trisha's prices and Trisha's looking at Dave's prices, Dave's looking at Sharon's prices, Sharon's looking at Lizzie's prices, and Lizzie's looking back at Steve again. Like the likelihood of any one of those people being an expert on the pricing side of things is pretty much like non-existent. Because normally when most people start up a business, it's because they're like husband, aunt, sister, friend, whatever said, hey, you'd be really good at that. Also, like I said, it's the assumption that those people know what they're doing around their pricing. They might be like pricing too low. And as a result of that, economically, it's just not working out for their business. You know, you don't know that they're charging cheap prices to undercut the market, and they're actually losing money as a result of it or not making enough to get by. So why would you copy effectively a flawed business model? So the kind of way around that is then to, you know, look at the prices, but then try and figure out what prices economically are going to stand up for your own business. And the quickest way to do that is to come up with sometimes it is just a finger in the air goal sort of thing. You don't have to necessarily like have an exact science for this, but let's say, for example, you wanted to earn $100,000 a year in your business, and you were, I don't know, selling widgets for $1,000. You would just divide, you know, your goal by that number, and then you go, okay, so my capacity, then I need to service 100 clients. If you do the maths on that, so 100 times $1,000, $100,000. And quite often that's when, you know, even with that simple bit of maths, you get the international sign of distress goes up. I couldn't possibly work with 100 clients. I've only got the capacity for 20, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So then we go, okay, well, maybe $1,000 for your widgets, whatever it is you're selling, that's too low a price, because you're going to hit capacity. You've naturally at 20 clients limited your earnings potential now. So we need to try and figure out how we can sell, I call it an espresso machine product. We can talk about that later on, but how can we get that price point from $1,000 up to $5,000, you know, so that when you sell 20 of them, you've hit your financial goal.
Okay, you've teased us with this espresso machine model, and I'm going to pull it up right now. Like, what is that? What does it mean?
So most people, when they kind of start up in business, they feel that, I mean, there's essentially three different ways that you can choose to price your products, right? When you look at the competition, you can either be the cheapest because you think that's how you get clients. You can go middle of the road because you don't want to be perceived or seen as being the most expensive because you think that will put people off, right? But you also don't want to be the cheapest in the market, because we all know buy cheap, buy twice, and people have perceptions about it. So we'll go safely in the middle. And then if you look at most industries, there's always one person in that industry who is the most expensive, okay? But they've been around for the longest. They've got the best social proofs. They have the best like reviews and testimonials and case studies and things. They've got a ton of LinkedIn recommendations. They get loads of referrals. But the clue here is that despite being the most expensive, they still get clients. Now, if you go into a Starbucks, not all of them, but a majority of the Starbucks, you can go and get your latte, you can go and get a bag of beans. But if you look over the counter behind them, behind the person, the barista serving the coffee, there's an espresso machine up there. Now, this espresso machine it's got a price tag on it. You could actually buy it if you wanted to. And they know that for every, say, 1,000 raving fans, like who just talk about nothing but amazing coffee from Starbucks, one day one of them is going to walk in and say, I'll have my latte, I'll have my coffee beans, and can I have that espresso machine behind you? Because I want the Starbucks experience at home. Now, how this is relevant to businesses, your listeners, is that like Starbucks have this espresso machine, it's on the shelf and somebody could just come in and buy it. But most small business owners, they don't have the equivalent of this super expensive espresso machine available to buy, because that espresso machine creates the same amount of net profit as about 3,000 cups of coffee, right? So it makes sense. If they sell one of those, it saved them all of that time in terms of serving all of that coffee. But most small business owners don't have this super expensive product that they could potentially sell. Or maybe they've got an idea about this really expensive product that they could sell, but they just don't have the confidence themselves to put it out on the shelf and tell other people about it so they could potentially buy it. And I believe that every business owner should have it's like the coffee experience. It's like the small, medium, and large, and then we have the espresso machine. You should have a variety of different products which you can sell to the market.
I have to admit that I am looking at my own business critically right now and wondering what my espresso machine is. Wondering if maybe I am just an espresso machine seller. Maybe that's all I offer is the really expensive stuff. But I'm really liking that model because, like you said, small, medium, large espresso machine. And it's not like you're sitting there trying to sell 85,000 espresso machines.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's minimal effort. You just put it on show and then people can see it. So potentially they can buy it. But if we were to focus on your business, Alison, for example, if you're game, if you want to play.
Oh boy, I thought we were in control of this interview, but I guess you have just taken that. Yes, I'm game.
Yes, I have. I've done it. I've been kind now. I've done. You could have said no, but thank you, Alison, for being a very brave and wily volunteer. At the moment, what would you say is your most expensive product?
So I do custom done for you sales copy. So I actually don't have productized things, but the most expensive thing that I offer is, let's say, a year of follow-up emails.
Okay, so well, I tell you what, we can actually go we can do the stage before that then. So were we to productize your service, how do you currently charge for your service?
I charge per project. And so we build out the project based on what the client needs. That's part of what I offer is like that super custom. And, my prices usually have a comma. Sometimes it's 2 numbers before that comma, depending on how much copy they need.
Okay, so first of all, we could look at I bet there is some like common ground in elements of your product which each and every client has. So what I always try that's it. I try and recommend that people have 3 to 5 core products that satisfy 80 to 90% of their target market's needs. There'll be a sprinkling of like custom bespoke, but that's like your platinum product. But it could be that you could package up an element of what you do into like bronze, silver, gold, and that's fine. If imagine we've done that, what would the gold package look like? How much would that be?
The gold package. Oh, Jenny's going to help me with this because we do a lot together too.
I'm thinking where you take a book and turn it into a course. That would be your gold.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Turn it into the course and then you have all the marketing.
So we'll just give it a price. We'll just say what?
Let's just give it an $18,000 price.
Yeah, I was going to say 18 to 20.
18 to 20. Okay. Now there might be people out there who want to turn their book into a course, but also they don't know how to sell it. Okay. So in terms of like doing the marketing, or maybe they want to then leverage that to get speaking engagements or something like, I don't know, I'm kind of making this up on the fly.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right.
But you could, so we've got that $18,000 like package now, but you could have a package which is say $96,000, which is like the all you can eat, where we'd like fully done for you service, where you don't ever have to worry about marketing again. We just take care of the whole thing. For example, do you see?
Right.
But if you never tell anybody about that $96,000 product, who's going to buy it? Nobody buys it. So at least design it and put it out there. You don't necessarily have to build out the entire product, because probably you're good at what you do, right? So if somebody said, well, what's included in this $96,000 product, you could probably wing it and tell them. Like you're articulate enough to be able to do that, and you're experienced enough to be able to do that, right? So the mistake a lot of people make is they did like the idea of this espresso machine thing, but then they get all of the imposter syndrome kicking around. Oh, I've got to go and build it, and it's got to be perfect. So perfectionism starts to creep in, and I can't possibly put it on the shelf until like it's finished, and then that takes years or never gets done. So what I'm saying here is that actually there's an element of like, well, if you're confident enough in your ability to deliver a product or service, put it out there. And then when somebody says yes to it, and inevitably they will, because they'll be like, oh, but the $18,000 thing, yeah, but I really like that. That's really shiny. Can I have that? Then you just go to town on it and you build it.
On today's episode,
oh my gosh,
I'm telling you, that's how she does it.
On today's episode,